Kia ora, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. In our indigenous language of New Zealand, that means hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the New Zealand Auto Knitter, and as you can see, this machine is fully assembled and is the way that your machine will come to you with a sock hanging on it. If by some terrible chance of fate some gremlins have got into the box and completely dismantled your machine on the way from New Zealand to the US or Germany or wherever it's gone, this video is going to show you how to put it all back together. So I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you get something out of it. This is the instruction manual now, the official instruction manual for the New Zealand Auto Knitter, or the NZAK as we like to call it. I'd like to thank two people for their technical expertise. The first is Eric Wolf, whose help has been invaluable, and Laurie Brown for her suggestions on the format of this video, of this DVD. So I hope you enjoy the DVD, I hope you get something out of it, and you'll be well on your way to knitting your first socks. This DVD is going to be filmed in several segments, so we're going to go through putting your stand together first, then we're going to assemble a machine from a whole box of essentially pieces, then we're going to knit a basic ribbed, 1-in-1 ribbed plain sock with heel and toe. That should enable you to be able to get going on your machine, and once you've practiced those techniques, then go on to more advanced techniques like fully ribbed socks and other items that you can knit on this machine. This is the top of the stand of your machine. You're seeing it upside down, and that will become apparent in a very few moments as to why. These are the legs, and these legs unscrew and dismantle to make them into a smaller package. This is the middle tray, and these three little pieces are extensions for your legs, which are optional. You can either use them or not, depending on how high you want to be above your machine. The rubber stoppers go on the bottom of either the extensions or the shorter piece of the legs. The main thing to remember when you're putting your stand together is oil any parts with a thread first. When we're screwing these legs in, you'll notice that the threads are on an angle. They are reasonably difficult to find the right angle to screw them in. Alright, we're going to pick up our stand. We need to turn the stand over so that the little lugs that the second part of the stand is going to screw into are facing down towards the floor, and we match up the holes with the stand, and then we're away to screw the last three legs in. Tighten those two legs down now, make sure everything's nice and tight, and your stand will be very stable. Our oil again. Just line that up. These are the rubber feet, and they go onto the stand like such. However, if you're like me and you're tall, you will use these three small extensions. Once again, oil on each one, and screw them in. And voila, our stand is essentially finished. So I'm going to list all the parts that make up a sock machine, and they're all on this table, and I'm going to endeavour to name them as well as I possibly can. Then we will go through and put together the base of the machine, the crank, the gear, the camshell, we'll put together the yarn mask, we'll put together the ribber, and then we'll do our sock knitting. Okay, the two first ones are obvious, your rubber dial and your cylinder. We then have the base of the machine. We have the two thumb screws that, do you like my screwdriver? Your base has already got in it a threaded screw, nut there, screw there, which takes your rubber stop lever, and that's attached by a spring, a washer and an adjustable thumb screw. We then go on to the gear ring, and the gear ring has attached to it, which I haven't dismantled, your yarn guide stem and your yarn guide, which both are adjustable. You then have your crank handle, your wooden handle that has a washer behind it. Your crank handle, you'll notice, has a little pin in it, another little round washer ferrule, and this is what drives the row counter, and that fits over that little pin on the crank handle, and I'll show you shortly how the crank handle attaches to the base. Your camshell, the spring holder for pulling the spring out to put new needles in, and the spring holds over that little piece there, which will be explained more in detail. You have a row counter dial, you have a row counter arm, you have a row counter pointer, you have the adjusting screw and a little spacer that goes inside the row counter. We then come to the rubber arm, which has the drive pin already in it, and they don't come out very easily. That's your rubber dial stem. Here's the rubber, which comes assembled, and I don't recommend unassembling a rubber, but basically you've got your timing screw, your in-out switch, your tension adjustment screw. 3 heel forks, 1, 2, 3, and they'll become self-explanatory later. A set of weights, a buckle, a buckle to hold the weights, and finally the yarn mast with the heel spring adjuster, or this is what's called a heel spring. It doesn't look like a spring, but this is for doing your heels, and the counterweight on the back takes the tension when you're doing your heels, and its little bolt to attach that onto the yarn mast. And lastly but not least, I suppose, is the yarn post that goes into the back of the camshell.